The starting pitching is going to be the biggest key to the Boston Red Sox clinching a playoff spot.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I'm here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And want to know the best part? It's free. So make sure you continue to tune in because Locked On is here for you every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the show. No Red Sox game yesterday, so nothing for me to complain about as of right now. I mean, we still can complain about the fact that the Red Sox over the last few weeks have just really not played nearly as good a baseball as we know they are capable of. And their playoff spot is really in a tight squeeze right now. So on today's show, I'm going to be talking all about biggest keys for the Red Sox as a team in order to clinch a playoff spot, as well as the magic number, who can help them, circumstances with other teams, etc., and giving an update on Roman Anthony. Could he realistically return to the team at all this season? So the wild card standings are really tight right now. And just as a reminder, the Red Sox are currently in the second wild card spot with a 1-game lead over both the Guardians and Astros, who are tied right now for the third wild card spot. The Red Sox are 3 games behind the Yankees, who own the top wild card spot. But the thing with all of this is that the Red Sox own the tiebreaker between both the Astros and Guardians. So what exactly does that all mean? I'm going to be discussing it, but things are really tight right now, and the Red Sox are going to need to win most of their games this upcoming week if they want to secure a playoff spot. They have 3 against the Blue Jays and 3 against the Tigers. They really need to kind of go 4-2 in those games for me to feel really confident in them making the playoffs. And what is going to be the biggest key to them clinching the playoff spot? Absolutely the starting pitching. The Red Sox starting pitching needs to be on point. If you think about guys like Garrett Crochet, Lucas Giolito, and Brayan Bello, they have all stepped up to the plate many times this season. Garrett Crochet, can't emphasize enough how he has just been everything the Red Sox have hoped for and more. He had a couple stumblers along the way where he didn't look as sharp, but he was pitching on 4 days rest his last time out. So now he will have 5 days rest before he makes his next start. So hopefully that'll help with that. But Lucas Giolito and Brayan Bello both have really for most of the season helped fill those roles as a number 2 and 3 starter for this Boston Red Sox team. And the exciting thing about that is that going into the season, nobody expected that, especially not from Lucas Giolito. There were a lot of question marks with him. How sharp was he going to be because of the fact that he had been dealing with injuries in his career over the last few years, and he just hadn't really pitched a lot, and he missed all of last season on the IL. So people were excited to have him come and pitch this year, but weren't really sure how he was going to pan out. And he has stepped up to the plate and more, giving the Red Sox what they need. Brayan Bello, all the way up until the month of September, really has been what the Red Sox have needed out of a true number 2 starter. So the thing now is going to be, can they keep that up? Because with where the offense is at right now and the fact that they have trouble scoring a lot with runners in scoring position, the offense essentially is a wild card on a nightly basis, because at best, based on what we've been seeing over the last few weeks, maybe we get a couple clutch home runs or just a big inning that is also fueled by the opposing team. For example, Friday night against the Tampa Bay Rays, when the Red Sox went off for a big inning, the Rays contributed to that because they made some errors and the Red Sox just kept stringing things together and they were able to score runs. But basically for the entire month of September, the lineup has been very feeble and has the tendency to be sleeping on a nightly basis. So it puts a lot more pressure on the starting pitchers to have to come out dealing. And the two series that they have this week have very different rotation looks, because in Toronto, the big three that has carried them for most of the season, and Lucas Giolito, Garrett Crochet, and Brayan Bello, are scheduled to pitch in that series. So you have to feel at least a little bit optimistic about being able to win 2 of 3 there, because of the fact that you have your best pitchers on the mound for that series. But at home against Detroit, it's 2 lefties with 4 combined starts for the Red Sox in Kyle Harrison and Connolly early. And then maybe Giolito again on Sunday if the game matters. They probably won't make that decision until later on. If they've already clinched a playoff spot and they're seeding before Sunday, then they probably won't waste Giolito's arm in that game. But if that's a must-win game in order to clinch a playoff spot, then they will. I don't want to end up in that situation personally, but all I know is that no matter who's on the mound for any given night, the Red Sox starter can single-handedly swing the team's playoff odds drastically, depending on his performance, because of the fact that the Red Sox offense just isn't super reliable at the moment. And you don't really have a lot of guys who have been stepping up a ton when they need to be. Trevor Story is truly somebody who has had a great season for the Red Sox and continues to step up when they need it, but you can't really rely on all of your players for that. So if you go out and you get the bad version of Lucas Giolito or the rough version of Brayan Bello, then it's not necessarily confidence that you can have in the Red Sox winning those games. Because if Brayan Bello were to go out there and give up 3 runs in the first inning, are you really confident in the offense's ability to score those 3 runs? Unfortunately, I would say no, because we haven't really gotten a lot of that from this Red Sox offense as a whole over the last month. So the starters have to be on point. And also, Alex Bregman needs to be Alex Bregman. He needs to continue to wake up more and get back to form from what he was prior to his injury, because he was huge for the Red Sox offense, and he was one of the biggest contributors at that point. And then ever since he got hurt, he kind of slumped back down into not being able to hit super well upon coming back. And he actually went 5 for 11 with a home run and 4 walks in the series against the Rays. That's a 1.327 OPS for the series after putting up a 4.52 mark in his previous 24 games. It's been known that he always has hit well against the Rays. So I'm looking at that as a storyline and saying, okay, was he hitting well in that series because it was against the Rays and he's just, for whatever reason, feels comfortable hitting against them? Or does this mean that Alex Bregman is back? And I'm really hoping it's the latter, because we do absolutely need that. I mean, lots of players could step up and have a big week this week, and the Red Sox definitely would welcome it from any of those players. But Bregman is the one who's carried teams to the playoffs before. This is a guy who has the experience. He knows what it takes to win in the postseason. And he's the one the Red Sox paid $40 million to bring them back to October this year. And he's the one who likely will opt out of that $40 million each for the next 2 years, because he might think that he could get a better deal in free agency. I hope he opts in. Maybe because of his recent struggles, he might decide to. But if he goes off in the postseason, he most definitely is probably going to opt out. And if he wants to prove that he deserves a better contract, then it really would be in his best interest to give the Red Sox the offensive leadership they need from him for these 6 games. Alex Bregman, we know, has stepped up under pressure before. He's been there, done that. He is a playoff baseball player who has thrived in the highest level situations previously. And we need him to center that and unlock that version of him for these 6 games to carry the Red Sox to a playoff spot. Because honestly, where this offense is at right now, we really could use everybody stepping up. But this is exactly the type of thing that Bregman's getting paid for. It is what it is. He is getting paid to go out there and be the guy to carry the offense and lead them to the playoffs, especially without Rafael Devers on the team anymore. You need that big bat, and Alex Bregman certainly provides that big bat, and I'm going to be looking to him a lot to help contribute. Also, bullpen usage is going to be key as we head closer and closer to the playoffs. I mean, Zach Kelly came in when the Red Sox were down 1 against the Tampa Bay Rays on Sunday, and that game got away from them. Peyton Tolley came in with base traffic, and he's not used to doing that. If he wanted to throw Peyton Tolley, he should have given him a clean inning, but he should have probably decided to go with one of his high leverage arms At the end of the day, Alex Cora did not strand all the base runners that they did in the game on Sunday, so you can't really blame him fully. And I think in his mind, he was saying, well, we need to make sure that these guys are in it for the long haul, that we can string together enough wins to make the playoffs. So he probably didn't want to waste a high leverage arm when they were losing, would be my guess. So I definitely see both sides of it there. But bullpen usage and performance is going to be key. Justin Wilson and Greg Weisser are going to have to step up and be the guys they were out of the bullpen earlier on in the season, because both of those guys were seen as high leverage, reliable options earlier on in the season, especially when Justin Slayton was hurt. Those two players, especially Weisser, came up big in high leverage situations when Slayton normally may be pitching, and they were able to go out there and pitch well. And they are going to need to get back to that version, because the Red Sox have their high leverage arms secured in Chapman, Whitlock, and Slayton. But now it's a matter of guys who they weren't sure were going to be high leverage that became high leverage, still continuing to step up in the pressure-filled situations. Also, they do need Brennan Bernardino back. He's had a really good season out of the Red Sox pen this year, so that could be really beneficial too. So all of that combined is going to be the biggest keys. Players who haven't been stepping up as much in the month of September need to turn things on. Brayan Bello, Alex Bregman, Greg Weisser, Justin Wilson, who overall has been pretty good, but as of late hasn't been as sharp. Those players in particular need to turn things around right now. And if they do, the Red Sox no doubt will clinch a playoff spot, but that's a big if, because we've seen so many inconsistencies and incompetencies from this team as of late, and they just cannot take their feet off the gas. Do not take your feet off the gas and clinch that playoff spot and go to New York and beat them in the wild card round. All of that could happen, and help from other teams could also help it too. Coming up next, I'm going to be going over the scenarios for the Red Sox to clinch a playoff spot. You've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products and thought, sure, like that actually works. There are so many products out there, and it's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything. That's why you should give Nutrafol a closer look. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. And it's not just hype. This is a supplement clinically tested that targets the root causes of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. And you can feel good about it knowing Nutrafol is NSF certified and backed by peer-reviewed studies. See thicker, stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Your hair is going to feel a lot less greasy, and there isn't much that's worse than having greasy hair and going out. So I highly recommend that you purchase some today so you can feel your hair be cleaner. It's it. Now, last week of the regular season, where every game matters and teams cannot afford to be dropping games if they want to secure a playoff spot. The Red Sox, because of the fact that they have been struggling and they haven't played as good of baseball over the last month, they have left themselves in a position to where they just don't have a lot of breathing room. And it's unfortunate because they definitely have the capability of making a deep run, but due to injuries and their chemistry being thrown off and guys just not performing, it's just been a struggle to go through and watch these guys on a daily basis try to string together wins. But now they have no choice but to continue to win games because, like I said, they are only a game ahead of the Cleveland Guardians and the Houston Astros, who currently are tied for the third wildcard spot. The Red Sox hold the tiebreaker against both of those teams due to their head-to-head matchups against them. So that's going to be key because the chances of both of those teams playing better than the Red Sox this week, I feel like, is slim. Obviously, it wouldn't be ideal if one of them passes them in the wildcard standings, but ultimately it doesn't really matter because whether they get the second or third wildcard spot, they're still going to be on the road because the Yankees are 3 games ahead of them right now. So I'm not really holding my breath that they're going to pass the Yankees, especially with how easy the Yankees schedule is in this last week. So I'm not really relying too much on that. So either way, they're likely going to have to go on the road. So it's not so much about getting the number 2 wild card spot for me, but rather getting in to the postseason. And the Tigers haven't been playing well. The Guardians are only a game behind the Tigers right now for the lead in their division. So in that case, if the Guardians were to pass the Tigers, then the Tigers would be a factor in these wild card standings. And the Red Sox got swept by the Tigers when they played them in Detroit. They play them at home this upcoming weekend, which could help them to secure a playoff spot if they are able to win those games. But there are lots of circumstances going on here. So earlier this week, before the Tigers come to Boston, they have a series against the Guardians for 3 games. For the most part, the Red Sox needs on the out-of-town scoreboard are obvious. Every loss by the Guardians, Tigers, and Astros helps the Red Sox out when it comes to clinching a spot. But the fact that Cleveland and Detroit play each other for 3 of each other's 6 games kind of makes things a little bit messy. The Red Sox magic number to clinch a playoff spot is now 5 with 6 games remaining. So essentially, with those 2 teams playing each other, the Tigers and Guardians, if either of those teams sweeps the series, it's a huge boost to the Red Sox because the Red Sox could actually clinch a playoff spot by winning 2 of 3 against Toronto if the Guardians end up getting swept by the Tigers on their home field. So that would be a huge plus. So the Tigers could really help us out in that regard. On the other hand, the worst case scenario would be Cleveland winning 2 of 3, which would leave the 2 Central teams tied heading into the final weekend. And it kind of leaves the Red Sox still in a place of struggle because that means that one of those teams is going to win their division and the other one likely would get a wild card spot if they have the same record. So that could leave the Red Sox out if they aren't winning games. So we kind of have to root for a sweep, probably most likely by the Tigers sweeping the Guardians, because if that does happen, then that likely means that the Red Sox are in a position to where they can spot the playoffs really close. So let's hope that the Tigers can win that series because the Guardians actually swept the Tigers this past week, which helped them gain ground. So that's one scenario that could help the Red Sox out. So where this all stands essentially right now, because this is all going to be madness and so many teams are still in the race, the Blue Jays have actually clinched a berth in the postseason for the American League. They are the only team in the AL that has clinched a postseason berth already because everything is so close. And the AL East technically does remain up for grabs for at least one more day right now, likely with the Blue Jays winning the division. The Red Sox are in Toronto for a 3-game series beginning today. So if the Red Sox drop 2 of 3, for example, in that series, and there's no way they can catch the Blue Jays for the division, obviously it's not impossible for them to catch them, but it's unlikely. So FanGraphs has the Red Sox at an 89.9% chance at making the playoffs. If the playoffs started today, the Red Sox would be the number 5 seed in the AL, which would put them in the Bronx for the best of 3 series for the wild card, where the Red Sox went 5-2 during the regular season. So if the Red Sox have to go to Yankee Stadium, you can feel confident in the Red Sox chances there because they have figured out how to win there this year. But unfortunately, the playoffs don't start today, and there's just still a whole lot to sort out before the postseason thinks about getting underway. I personally would rather play the Yankees in the wild card than like the Mariners or Tigers. I just think that the Yankees are a beatable team. The Red Sox have figured out how to beat them, and I think that would be the best matchup favorable for the Red Sox. So with the Blue Jays, Tigers, and Mariners atop their respective divisions right now, there is still so much to be had because of the fact that the Astros and Guardians especially aren't that far behind the Tigers and Mariners in their respective divisions. So things could get really interesting. There's only the fact that every team can still very easily go on a losing streak and every team can easily still go on a winning streak. With 6 games left, you really don't know what's going to happen. So it should be a lot of fun. And essentially what happened is because the Red Sox couldn't complete a sweep of the Tampa Bay Rays on Sunday night, which again is super frustrating. That was a lost opportunity, but luckily they didn't lose ground on the teams behind them in the wild card race because the Guardians' 10-game winning streak came to an end on Sunday and the Astros lost to the Mariners. So the Red Sox got really lucky that those two teams didn't inch their way closer because of the Red Sox losing, because they also lost. But on the flip side of that, it was a huge missed opportunity for the Red Sox to be able to gain ground. So that was a bummer. So with the Guardians and Astros currently tied for a third wild card spot, one of those two teams could pass the Red Sox with how close they are, but Cleveland's recent surge has the Guardians also just a game back up Detroit for the AL Central, so now their focus is on winning their division. The Red Sox and Tigers are both 85 and 71 at the moment, but Detroit, as of now, owns the tiebreaker over Boston after sweeping the 3-game series back in May, whereas with the Guardians, the Red Sox own the tiebreaker there. New York's magic number is down to 4 with the Red Sox at 5. They likely won't catch the Yankees, but they do own the tiebreaker against them too, based on their head-to-head record. So if the Red Sox were to end up facing the Yankees and they finish with the same record, the Red Sox would get home field and would get that top wild card spot because of their head-to-head record against the Yankees. So that's how it works with any of these other teams in the running. Is that the good news for the Red Sox is that they do hold the tiebreaker over a good amount of these teams, which will help them a lot. So with the Blue Jays being just 2 games up on the Yankees for the AL East crown, this 3-game set is incredibly important for both the Red Sox and Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are going to go out there with their best stuff. Most likely they're going to put some good pitchers on the mound. So this will not be an easy series for the Red Sox. And the Red Sox have struggled against the Blue Jays this year. The Blue Jays won 2 of 3 against the Red Sox in Toronto in late April and early May and have won 7 of the 10 matchups that they played overall. So things don't bode well exactly for the Red Sox when you think about that. So with Lucas Giolito, Brayan Bello, and Garrett Crochet taking the ball, on the flip side of that, the Blue Jays have Kevin Gausman, Max Scherzer, and Shane Bieber going for their side. The Red Sox will then come back home to close out the regular season with a 3-game series against the Tigers at Fenway. So things will be hectic there. And after the Guardians welcome the Tigers to Cleveland for a huge 3-game series, theoretically, those two teams could cancel each other out while the Red Sox are winning, and that would be ideal for sure. So all eyes are going to be on that series too, because theoretically, if the Tigers sweep that series, that would help the Red Sox clinch. Vice versa, if the Guardians sweep the Tigers, then the Red Sox are heading into dangerous territory. But Cleveland's been playing very good baseball as of late. So lots of teams still in the running. After the Tigers, the Guardians host the Rangers for 3 games. The Rangers will likely be eliminated from postseason contention in the coming days and won't have much to play for on the final weekend, but they could play spoiler, and a lot of times that does motivate teams. So we have to hope that that does happen and that they end up winning that series. And the Yankees have won 5 of their last 6 games and will close out the regular season against the White Sox and Orioles. Obviously, really easy schedule, so I don't really have my hopes up that they're going to lose their series. So essentially, in summary, the Red Sox need to focus primarily on winning their games against the Blue Jays and against the Tigers. If they go 4-2 in those games, you have to feel good about their chances of clinching a playoff spot. So let's hope that they are able to turn things on and able to get a spot. But lots of layers here. You can't really even go into hypothetical because you could say the Red Sox need to go 4-2 to clinch a spot, but theoretically, what if the Astros and Guardians both go 6-6? Then the Red Sox are on the outside looking in. So you can't really draw that conclusion right now, but just focus on winning games and the rest will work itself out. And coming up, is Roman Anthony going to be part of the picture for the Red Sox anytime soon? I'm going to be discussing that next. If you like sports betting or you're trying to get into it, FanDuel is 100% the place for you. With the NFL season being here, FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet. Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. FanDuel is a great way to get in on the sports betting action and start winning lots of money. So make sure that you take advantage of that. As we get into the last week of the regular season, which is crazy to say, I feel like this season has flown by. I first want to just take the time again to thank everybody who's been along for the ride this season. I really could not do what I do without all of you supporting me. And I really, truly appreciate that and appreciate everybody continuing to come and listen to the show. We will have a lot of fun, hopefully involving playoff baseball and being able to talk about the Red Sox being part of that picture. So, lots of work to do from now and then. And one player who really could be tremendously beneficial for the Red Sox, but is unfortunately not going to be around for the last week of the regular season, is Roman Anthony, who has just been a force to be reckoned with since being called up to the majors. He was the Red Sox established leadoff hitter, and that was a spot that he felt really comfortable in. And then he got hurt, and now he's still hurt, and now here we are. So he's not able to contribute to this Red Sox team. So he, prior to getting injured, was batting .292 with 8 home runs and 32 RBIs. The 21-year-old was a big reason for the Red Sox's offensive turnaround in June. He ranked first in the AL in multi-hit games with 24, third in on-base percentage with a .421, and in hits with 68. Fourth in average with a .329, and seventh in OPS with a .933 in a 54-game stretch that dated back to June 28th. So he's out with an oblique strain right now, and typically an oblique strain takes 4 to 6 weeks to heal. 4 weeks from when Anthony suffered the injury would be October 1st, which is the date of a potential game 2 of a wild card series. So obviously he's not going to be able to come back until at least then. At the time of the injury, it was believed that there was a slight chance that he might return before the regular season ended on September 28th, but that has become a lot less likely now, especially because of the fact that Alex Cora hasn't given super specific updates on him, and the Red Sox in general haven't really given a lot of concrete stuff. Alex Cora did say in a recent update that he's walking on a treadmill up to 25 minutes. On Tuesday, he told me it was a great walk. He walked into the clubhouse and said 25-minute walk. It was great. He's doing better, still sore, but adding stuff to his rehab. Alex also went on to say, but one thing that caught my attention Tuesday was that he went to my office and he is like, hey, I'm feeling better. And I haven't heard that in a while. It's going to take a while. He's doing everything possible to hopefully get back. So obviously that wasn't a concrete update of, oh yeah, he's doing really well and he's going to return to the Red Sox lineup on X date. They haven't even thought about a return date for him yet, which feels like he definitely is still in the rehab process and not ready to come back yet. So the Red Sox could go one of two routes here. Obviously, they need to tread water the rest of this week. That goes without saying. They need to be able to tread water without him and win games the rest of this week and try to clinch a playoff spot. That is a given. Also, though, if they do clinch a playoff spot, once they get into a playoff spot, if they are able to activate Roman, then they make the decision on what they do, because they could activate him right away on October 1st. Theoretically, if the training staff says, hey, he's good to go, they could activate him, and then he would be huge in a playoff run for this Red Sox team moving forward, because obviously his bat being back would be a huge boost to the lineup. Obviously, the Red Sox had a great team chemistry with him in the lineup, so bringing him back would be super beneficial and increase the Red Sox chances most likely of making a deep playoff run this year. On the flip side of that, do the Red Sox want to jeopardize the future with him? Do they want to jeopardize the future with a player who they just gave a massive extension to, that they see as being a big part of the future moving forward with this team that likely is going to be the face of their franchise for years to come and is going to be a player who the Red Sox are really going to rely on and lean on moving forward? That's a question that needs to be answered still. And that's something that a lot of people are wondering is, well, is it worth it to activate Roman right when they say he's good to go, or would they rather take their time? Because another thing they could do, 4 to 6 weeks, I mean, if they aim closer to the 6-week mark and the Red Sox make a run and, a few weeks from now, they are still in the playoffs, do they activate him for the later rounds? That's something they could do, because then that would have given him enough time to hopefully recover and be back and be good to go. So that's another option they could do. Or the third option is they say, we're just going to let him rest for the rest of the playoffs. If we don't go to the World Series, it is what it is. And we are going to hold him because we just don't want to be in a position to where we feel like we're rushing him back. And then it ends up being detrimental to his future with the Boston Red Sox because he deals with more injuries later on. That is what my guess would be for the way that they handle it, especially if they're finding ways to win games. If guys like Alex Bregman step up and they're finding ways to win postseason games without him, then I don't feel like they would have a desire to rush him back, because this is a front office that really values the future of the organization. And they've done so much to work around Roman Anthony and make sure that he's taken care of as the face of the franchise moving forward. So they definitely would not want to jeopardize that future of what they could be with him down the road. So I could see them taking the path of, okay, we'll just let things play out and then he'll just be ready to go for spring training next year. But if the Red Sox bats are really struggling and their pitching has gotten them further in the playoffs and Roman Anthony's ready to go, then I do feel like the Red Sox might say, okay, we need his bat in the lineup. Let's just have him DH and not play in the field moving forward in the postseason. So then at least he's getting some activity and it's really helping the lineup. So I could see them doing that too. I think it goes one of two ways. Either they activate him and he just DHs for the remainder of the Red Sox playoff run if they make it, which hopefully they do, or he gets activated after the season and just waits it out, and then next year he'll be back. So that's what I feel like they would lean towards. I think it's very unlikely that he'll be activated on October 1st, like immediately. I just don't see that happening. But we'll have to see how this all plays out. The Red Sox just need to lock in this week. This is a huge, huge week. And as long as they're stringing together wins and just finding ways to win games, they will be in a playoff spot at the end of this week. Just be aggressive on the plate. Don't go for pitches way outside the zone. Like, stop chasing. Don't swing for hard contact and just trying to be a hero and swing for the fences. Swing for contact. Don't hit for power. Just hit to make contact and put the ball in play, and good things will happen. And hopefully the Red Sox can pull things together, because this would just be such an upsetting end to a season in which the Red Sox had so much promise if they end up missing the playoffs. So definitely gotta monitor lots of games going on this week. And if you want help monitoring that, you can next check out Locked On MLB Game Night, which is on the Locked On MLB YouTube channel or anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Our local experts will talk about every game every single night, all the way up until a World Series champion is crowned. So if you don't want to miss out on any of that, especially when it comes to teams like the Guardians, Astros, and Tigers, make sure that you subscribe to that show and make it your second listen of every day right after Locked On Red Sox. Thank you so much. As always, keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I'll catch you on the flip side.